14 years ago, I got bit by a red ant in Texas and just everything changed. The next day, I couldn't move my arms. I was in pain. And he's like, oh, just take sweet tarts. That's what he'd tell me. He's like, just have them in your purse and eat sweet tarts whenever you feel low. I could barely read and write. It just made me feel like I was really dying. This is just getting to a point that I don't think I can handle the pains. I don't think I can handle the daily life. I was like, I'm going to do it. And my husband and me both were like, well, what if it kills you? Because doctors have told me no meat. I can't do this. And I'm like, I don't care. This is killing me. I am not able to take this anymore. I want to live. I literally now feel like I'm 17 again. I'm 47. And it's like, wow, I didn't even feel this good when I was 17. I feel like I'm finally living. Okay, I was non-functioning. Do you realize, I couldn't get out of bed.
Hey folks, it's Dr. ShawnBaker. Revolutionize your health with Revero. Struggling with type 2 diabetes, obesity, or autoimmune conditions? Revero offers a revolutionary approach to treating chronic diseases. With personal low-carb nutrition plans, remote biomarker monitoring, and 24/7 access to expert medical providers and coaches. Revero helps you address the root cause of your health concerns. Be part of the future of healthcare. Join the waitlist today at Revero.com and take the first step towards lasting wellness. Welcome, everybody. We have today with us Miranda from Iowa is going to share with us a success story. And so hopefully everyone had a very nice Christmas holidays and on to the next year, basically. So Miranda, welcome. Good to meet you. Maybe to start with a little bit of your background. Who are you and where you started?
I'm Miranda Adams. I have a family, whatnot. I've never been totally healthy, but my big journey started 14 years ago with being diagnosed with fibromyalgia and such. But even when I was 14, I lost my gallbladder. I had to be in the hospital 2 weeks because it was so inflamed. 18, I lost my appendix, got diagnosed with angina, hypoglycemia, and then had a hysterectomy at 31. So I've never been the most healthy. My immunity's always been low. And then about 14 years ago, I got bit by a red ant in Texas and just everything changed. The next day, I couldn't move my arms. I was in pain. I went to the emergency room, and pretty much from then on, it was a continual battle of figuring out what was wrong with me and going to doctors. And it's been a big journey, that's for sure.
So they ran out of organs to keep cutting out of you. Sounds like, let's just cut something out. Maybe that'll fix it. Yeah. So, yeah, that's like I said, it is what it is in many ways, and I see that happen not infrequently to people. But so that's interesting because the ant. I know some of these little fire ants. I used to live in Texas. Those damn things bite you and they hurt. They're pretty painful. And so, since you're 14, you had all these issues. You get your gallbladder cut out, your uterus cut out, your appendix taken out, and fibromyalgia. So I guess the solution was just, we don't know, you try this pill, or what was the approach?
The first years of the medical, I couldn't walk the first year pretty much. Within the first year, I went to a walker, and the pains were I'm a pretty high tolerant pain person. I gave birth without painkillers, et cetera, et cetera. The doctors always told me in the past that I was pretty high pain tolerance. And this pain was just nothing I had ever seen, just nerve pain throughout your whole body. And it just wouldn't go away. And so they thought MS. I have 3 white matter spots on my brain. So they were thinking that, and they were testing and doing all kinds of stuff. And it's literally been years of them going through stuff. And eventually we moved to Iowa. And when we moved to Iowa, I got a infectious disease doctor, and he does everything. He had questions like what kind of blankets you use on your bed and crazy stuff. And they diagnosed he thought that the red ant created a tick syndrome, which I do have the alpha gal, which I'm not supposed to eat meat, and the Rocky Mountain. And so from there, they diagnosed just fibromyalgia stage 4. And then, of course, my other symptoms from before, the angina, the hypoglycemia, all that, taking medicine for all that kind of stuff.
So the severe pain you were having, which made it very difficult for you to walk, being limited to a walker, they were calling that advanced fibromyalgia. Is that what I'm hearing? And that was precipitated after this ant bite. Is that how it shaped out. So
Yeah, the
they're
only
giving
thing
you,
they could come up with is maybe the red ant ate a tick that created limes, and then my limes went too far and then created the fibromyalgia.
and as far as the medications, what were they giving you for angina, for the chest pain?
I don't know the exact thing, but it was a heart medicine. I was just taking the, what is it? I can't think of that one, but I was on Lyrica antidepressants because of the Lyrica. They said I had to take that because you will
Hmm.
get depressed. Steroids. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's just a plethora of drugs where you start having your cabinet full. And
Yeah, so the Lyrica was for the nerve pain. That's a pretty common one, and then they put you on an antidepressant. Maybe, and sometimes they'll just put antidepressants for people with fibromyalgia because they think it's in their head anyway. So they'll put them on antidepressants. And what about the hypoglycemia? How was that managed? Was they were decide here just make sure you're eating a lot of sugar from time to time, or how do they deal with that?
that was mostly, I was originally on a pill, but very shortly because I didn't like it. I react to pills pretty harsh. Like I could be on a pill for a couple months and then I have every side effect. It's always been like that. And so I stopped it and he's, oh, just take sweet tarts. That's what he'd tell me. He's just have them in your purse and eat sweet tarts whenever you feel low.
Okay. And yeah, and I remember we would have patients that would be similar and they would have really challenging problems with all these medications. And they were difficult patients to manage because we were like, well, what medicine do we give them now? We didn't really think about, hey, maybe we just think about their diet. You had the doctor was asking about your blankets. Did anybody talk to you about nutrition, diet? Was that ever a thought in any major way around all this stuff?
Because of my gallbladder and because of the alpha gal, it was very suggested to always go vegetarian. I
Mm-hmm.
probably ate very little meat. I'd have
Mm-hmm.
chicken and maybe a steak once a month or two. The beef was not recommended necessarily. It was more the opposite.
Okay. And yeah, like a little bit of chicken is not meat. I'm kidding about that in a way. Not really that much, but okay. So this goes on for several years, specialist after specialist, pills, steroids, antidepressants, on and on and on. Did you ever feel like any of it made you significantly better?
They got me to a point where I was off the walker. I could do my laundry. I never
Mhm.
drove. I never could drive a car
Because of the
because,
pain
it
or
just
because of the medicine side effects? What was preventing you from driving?
just I had never gotten my license. I had some PTSD from a past relationship, and then I was ready to, and then I got sick. And when I got sick, it was, yeah, just I could barely read and write. Like just doing the daily functions every day, it was so difficult. It was I just didn't even know how much I was struggling. And towards the end of it, I was struggling at the worst. It just made me feel like I was really dying. Like this is just getting to a point that I don't think I can handle the pains. I don't think I can handle the daily life. It was so, just like I said, just doing laundry was my day. I do a little bit and then I relax and then I do a little bit. It's just pretty much non functioning.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how you survived in the world. You said you had a child and you can't drive, you can barely read or write, you can't do much. How was your life? How are you surviving?
Yeah, we have 2 boys, and they had to go through it with me. My husband travels. I do have a very, very supportive husband who took care of me. He has a good job that he could pay for everything. I should have went on disability. I just never really did that. I could have. And the boys basically had to raise themselves in a lot of ways. They didn't get my support, and the one went off to the military during when this had started, and so the other one, he was home taking care of me while my husband was at work. He was literally doing all as a teenager, and it was hard for him.
Okay, so if you're left to yourself, you would have been in real trouble. So my goodness. All right, this dragged on for, I guess you said something like 14 years or more. I don't know how many years this went on for. When did you start to turn things around and how did that happen?
About 3 years ago, I found a blog, and it was some girl, I don't even know who she was, but she just blogged that she was doing this carnivore diet. And I'm like, I'm just to the point, I can't take this. I need to try something. And I was trying different things. I've tried a lot of herb things. I've tried a lot of natural things. I've done all the things that you could try. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And my husband and me both were like, what if it kills you? Because the doctors have told me no meat. I can't do this. And I'm like, I don't care. This is killing me. Like I am not able to take this anymore. I want to live and I want to see. Let's just see. And I literally just went lying. And in 2 weeks, my pains went from the 10 they were at to a 6.
Okay, so significant improvement. So this is still on were you still on Lyrica and all those meds at that time?
Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't like you added a new med, you just changed your diet and you saw a reduction in symptoms within 2 weeks. I'm sure that felt pretty good, I would imagine.
Yeah, I was pretty pumped. And so I went into it and I was doing it and I was feeling better and better and more energy. I never had energy during fibro. Energy is nothing. And it's a struggle just to get out of bed, let alone function throughout your day. And the only thing that tripped me up any in my journey is people. They convinced me over time. I went to your site. I was with a coach, which totally was phenomenal. I recommend that to everybody, to get a doctor or a coach, because it makes the journey easier. You have somebody you can come to go, hey, I'm having this, or what do I do here? But people mess me up and they're like, why don't you just do keto more? Or why don't, and every time I'd introduce any vegetables, like just even a little teeny bit, I'd have a salad or something, I would go back down. So I believe my journey would have been quicker had I not done the little what people tell you to do, because everybody's, oh, this isn't healthy. And I was like, but it is. I'm feeling good. I'm actually, in about 3 months in, when I really got into it, so just lifting my purse, I couldn't hold my purse. It just hurt so bad. My husband would actually carry my purse. And I literally took like big, heavy things in the house and we're moving them outside. And I had this burst of, I call it Superman or Superwoman energy, but like you get these bursts or you're just like, wow, I didn't even know energy existed, or that I could lift things, that I could do things. It just was, I was just amazed. It amazes me.
Okay, so this is you jumped into the lion diet. What were you eating? I would beef and water, I assume, but how much, how often, that type of stuff?
Pretty much lionish. I don't seem to do real great on chicken or eggs. I do seafood. I'm a big seafood person. So all seafood seem to do great. Beef, and I did the cheap. I've always done the cheap. We're not real rich, so it's just chuck roast and arm roast. And I did eliminate over time here, not right away, but over time I've eliminated dairy and went to goat products. But at the first I even did all the dairy and did all that.
Okay, and so what year was this that you started all this stuff?
So this was 3 years ago, 2021.
Okay, and so how have things progressed over that time? Were there other sort of landmarks that happened?
Yeah, 6 months later, I got my driver's license. So now I actually DoorDash and Instacart. So I go like 4,000 miles a month, which I love because it's freeing. And it's just been, since then, it's just gets better and better. I didn't know it could keep getting better. I think when I hit certain levels, I'm like, oh, okay. But now I literally wake up every single day pain free. Every morning, I'm like, wow, I don't have a body ache. It doesn't matter if I go and walk all day or lift things all day. I don't have that soreness or that joint pain. I'm double jointed, so it used to always pop out my knees and I had discs out in my back, so they've always hurt. No pain. Like there's all the inflammation, all the pains. It's like, yeah. Every day I wake up and I'm like, this can't be real.
So there's a couple interesting things I want to get into here, but so you had said that, you years of this, what were you eating over those years? Were you eating a bunch of junk all the time, or what was your diet like prior to switching over to basically a carnivore style diet?
I would say, yes, there was some junk foods here and there. I'm a little bit of a chip person, but I went to healthy chips. It was much more vegetarian, or trying to get the healthy foods that people claim are healthy, the things that you don't think have too many additives or don't have too many extra ingredients, and quinoa and just all the more organic-ish. But every time it just would flare me, or my body would be like, nope, that's not what you needed.
So from your perspective, eating a bunch of meat has not been inflammatory. 'Cause sometimes they'll tell, oh, red meat is inflammatory. This is what we often hear. That's not what I see. I obviously see thousands of people with similar stories with inflammation going away. So your inflammation numbers have come down. Are you still seeing any of the same physicians? I would imagine fibromyalgia, maybe you had a rheumatologist prescribing, I don't know, primary care. I don't know who else was involved in your care, but do you see any of those folks still?
Yeah, I did have, like you just said, the rheumatologist, and that I haven't in the last about 3 years. The last doctor I was blessed with, in a sense that she was odd, because and I still have her, I just haven't went back lately. Her husband is a heart doctor, and when I mentioned, it was just when it was starting, and I said, I think I might do this carnivore diet. And she goes, you can do it, but you got to stick with it. You can't add keto foods. She goes, my husband does it, and he's a heart doctor there. And I was like, oh, wow. So she was more for it, which was nice. Got me.
Yeah, we're getting more and more. That was 3 years ago. And even now, there's a lot more physicians that are starting to adopt that. And of course, as you probably from our company, Revero, we have just all of our physicians are certainly on board with people that want to do carnivore for sure. And we assist them with that when they want to do that. DoorDash, that's got to be an interesting perspective now, because you probably very painfully are aware of the effects of food upon how it impacts our body. What kind of stuff are people ordering? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, that's the only hard part, is when you're getting or I do a lot of shopping. You're buying all this junk food for somebody, and you're like, oh man. I have noticed, though, it's very strange. I would say over the last year, there's been a progressive towards at least more as they think healthy. And then over the last couple months, it has changed a little bit. I've been seeing everybody getting pasture raised eggs. I've been seeing those are out of stock everywhere. More meat, because that's been the biggest thing. I don't see people get meat. They get very little.
Hey folks, it's Dr. ShawnBaker. Revolutionize your health with Revero. Struggling with type 2 diabetes, obesity, or autoimmune conditions? Revero offers a revolutionary approach to treating chronic diseases. With personal low-carb nutrition plans, remote biomarker monitoring, and 24/7 access to expert medical providers and coaches, Revero helps you address the root cause of your health concerns. Be part of the future of healthcare. Join the waitlist today at Revero.com and take the first step towards lasting wellness. Yeah. No offense, but I wouldn't use your services, because I honestly think it's probably, I guess maybe some people who just literally are stuck in their home and they can't travel. But I mean, it particularly if you're sitting home and you're ordering donuts and cakes and cookies and chips and crap like that and sodas, that can't be a good situation, I would imagine. So obviously you're not in pain, which is obviously wonderful. That's got to be just so uplifting, and I'm sure it's helped your mental health. And are you pretty much off all your meds now, or what's the status on the medications?
Oh yeah, I don't take anything. That's been about, I'd say 2 years probably for everything off. And yeah, it's just still, I would say 6 months ago, I felt 100%. I literally now feel like I'm 17 again. I'm 47, and wow, I didn't even feel this good when I was 17. I'm just now going to get into exercise. I bought a rowing machine this week. Gonna start toning up. I've lost 65 pounds, and I'm just, yeah, it's just every day. Yeah, the mental is a hard part too, because you're not thinking straight. So you get more emotional over things. Small things would get to me. Like I couldn't handle just any little issue that would arise in the house, because you're already dealing with your pain and you're barely surviving. And then when some little stupid thing happens, you're like, I can't deal. And so now I think even my family is still learning how to deal with me. They're like, oh, we shouldn't deal with something. And it's now I can deal with everything now. This is just life and normal and the way it should be.
So you're a more resilient person. You can you can roll with the punches a little better with what life brings, because it's always going to happen. You're always going to happen. I was traveling yesterday. It was very frustrating, to tell you, but I was able to chill and deal with it. But I was tired. And anyway, that's a different story. But so you'd mentioned your family. Obviously, they saw the transformation. You lose 65 pounds. You're actually alive, more or less. Got energy now. You're not just walking around like a zombie. How did your family interact with you with this?
Yeah, it was hard for my mom at first because she's very vegetarian and not a meat-based person, but it is neat to see her transformation in it and that she's, oh, yeah, this works for you. You do this no matter what. You got to do this. And they're starting to implement. It takes time with family, but I see little changes that they're implementing. My husband, he didn't go on it until a year ago. And he decided he's gonna, he just started by eating meat with me when he come home because he's home 3 days a week. So he's just have meat in the house so you're not tempted. And then now he is full born, got totally into it. His fatigue went away because he's always been a tired person. He's always been healthy. The doctor's always, oh, you're healthy, but I'm always tired. I never feel energy. And now he's got the energy, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's good. How old are your kids? You say you had two boys, I think.
Yeah, they're 25 and 20. Yeah, wait, 20. 28 and 29.
Okay, so they're out of the house. They're not
Yeah.
so they're on their own doing their own. So they see you periodically. When do they start noticing the difference?
Yeah, they've been noticing it too. They were a bit against it to begin with too, but then they're like, no, this works. And one's gone keto, trying to get them full into it.
So you'd mentioned you don't have a giant budget. You just buy whatever you can afford. So you're not going out of your way to eat pasture-raised, organic, grass-fed beef. What does your meat look like? Where do you get it from? What kind of stuff are you getting?
Just I've always gotten it at the store. Literally, it's just been a month ago. I decided to try some more grass-fed because our budget is a little better. And I was like, I don't know that there's really a difference, though. I know there's supposed to be a little bit more nutritional, but we've just done store-bought. There's a meat market grocery store here and just buy whatever they got in sale. And sometimes they have the whole rib roast for like $12 a pound or something. You get that, cut it up, and you're set up.
Yeah, and I see that with honestly the majority of people. They just eat whatever they can afford at the grocery store and it works fine. And there's no real need to do anything special, which is great because that makes it more accessible to most people because that's mostly what the beef supply is. What do you focus on, fat or protein, or how do you say? You mentioned you like little seafood, which can be a little leaner. Are you eating like fattier cuts of meat, or are you more intermediate with that?
Due to me having to have a hysterectomy, I wanted to get off of my hormones this last year and a half and not be taking anything else. So yeah, I went to a lot higher fat. It seems to really help with the hormonal. I literally grill up the dollar a pound fat and on the grill and just munch on it throughout the week. And that's one of my go-tos. And it is funny as you get more into it that a lot of people like to cook and do a lot of different things, but you just get into just having a steak or two. If you're super hungry, I'll eat a couple steaks. And if I'm not as hungry, just maybe one, but you just get into that and some butter and salt and stuff. You don't need a whole to-do.
Yeah, and it sounds like you say pretty satisfied. Appetite's pretty well regulated. It looks like you're fairly, like at least from the waist up, you look like you're fairly normal size. Now, are you at a pretty good weight right now?
Yeah, I hit 120, a little smaller actually than what I thought I was gonna hit. I thought that I was gonna 145 was my goal, and then I was like, I guess it's just gonna keep falling off. And a struggle. It was literally there was probably in it a little plateau while my body was healing or getting better. I don't know what the right word there would be, as it was the meat and the nutrition was trying to fix things. There was probably a little stall, but I wasn't really focused on that. It was more about how do I feel? Do I feel good today? I went to OMAD just for myself. It works. But I do a lot of times end up doing 2 meals, just depending on what my body, if it's a really good work day and I'm moving a lot or something, it's like you're hungry. Eat when you're hungry.
You're door dashing or Uber Eatsing or whatever it might be. So you're constantly being exposed to and looking at and handling basically junk food all day, delivering for other people. Does that set you off? Man, look at that. Looks pretty. The donuts look pretty good. Because I'll be honest, that stuff still looks good to me. I would eat it. If I thought it was healthy for me, if that donuts were a health food, I'd be eating donuts every day, because I like them. But I don't because I just don't feel a desire to. But how do you handle that? Does it ever set you off to, gosh, I don't know if sometimes you get like a warm bread or something. I don't know what people get set off by, but how do you deal with that all day long?
To say at the beginning I wasn't doing it as much, but even probably a year and a half ago, it was harder than now. Every once in a while, there'd be that one thing that you're like, ooh, that was always my favorite. But I've cheated and taste tested every great once in a while. And no, it doesn't taste the same. And that's why I try to say too, is if you just take one bite of something is all you really need. You don't need to have a whole cake or something. You can take one bite, and whether you still craved it or whether it just isn't, or do that for a family member or something, like grandma made a pie and you're like, I tried it, grandma. But no, it just, because I feel so good, I don't want to go back. I don't want that addiction to come back, because it is a form of addiction. It was hard to get off of the sugar and the cravings. And so if I go back, then I'm going to go back to being in bed and being sick and not feeling good.
Yeah, not worth the trade-off for sure. Yeah, good for you. As far as you said, you're not now. You're because you got down to 125, which you thought was too small, and you actually thought you'd get. So now the goal is to put on some muscle. Is that what you're doing? So is this this is a brand new venture? You're going to start rowing, and what else are you planning on doing?
I'm going to join the gym, but more a little bit after winter here. We get a pretty good winter here, and I won't be working as much though. So that's one reason I wanted to move and get toned, because I think I'm just down to the, what do you call it, visceral fat, just a little bit, and that just needs toned and gone. And then yeah, just be lean and feel good and get rid of all those, because I'm sure the fat has a lot of toxins that have been held for who knows how many years of medicines I've taken since I was 14. And I just want all that out of my system and stay healthy.
There's people that would say that you don't need to do a carnivore diet. As long as you just ate a healthy diet, balanced diet, fruits, vegetables, just eat some meat, maybe some other satiating food. What is your thought on that? Are you like that? Because I know you said even a small amount of vegetables was problematic. Do you ever concern? Are you just totally content where you are now?
Yeah, I am for healthier eating. I do believe everybody needs to start making the steps. But especially if you're super immune deficient, have problems like I got, it's like you have to go full board. And we're actually pushing some friends now into that. We're like, if you got all this, you're not going to make it. But even people who are healthy, they don't realize that a lot of those foods aren't what we used to think they are. And things have been GMO'd, things have been changed. It's not what we've been taught. We've been taught that everything veggie, and I've been taught that eat your vegetables when I was a kid. But now it's just a new world and things are different, and we just need nutrition, and meat is our nutrition.
Yeah, I certainly would argue that meat is more nutritious than vegetables by a long shot in my view. And the vegetables probably are neutral for many people, and some people like them for whatever reason. I was never a vegetable guy. I never liked them as a kid. As an adult, I forced myself to eat them for many years and never really enjoyed them. As far as you said you're eating fat from the grow. I guess you asked the butcher to trim some fat for you, and they charge you $1 a pound. I've done that before. You put it in the air fryer, throw a little salt on it, nice little snack. How's your gallbladder? Because you don't have a gallbladder, and I got whacked out 20 years ago, whenever that was. How do you digest the fat? Are you doing okay with that?
Yeah, there's been no problems with that, which is what I feared at the beginning. No pains, no issues, no. And I'm doing quite a bit of fat now because of the last year and a half. I've really upped my fat intake compared to at the start. And yeah, it's pretty nice to not have to deal with any of those issues or digestive issues. And
what compelled you to increase the fat? Just out of curiosity, what was leading you to do that?
just reading online a lot about I think you had even had a post before about the hormones and how you go a little bit more 80-20 or 70-20 or 30 or whatever, and just up it a bit to see how your body does. I even tried a little fat fast, which I've never done that before, just to see how it would reset. When I started it, I was like, I'd reset it with a few days of just a fat fast.
Okay. And okay with that? So fat fast, you only eat fat for the day, a little bit of fat, maybe a little bit. And you were doing the beef fat. Is that how you use that basically? Just snack on some crispy beef fat for the day. And that worked okay for you. One thing I will say is as your goal becomes to put on more muscle, then probably protein starts to take a little greater role in that goal, because you've lost the weight you wanted to lose. I assume hopefully you've restored all your health, which has got to feel good. Okay. So Have there been negatives? Because I think that's a fair question to ask. Any negatives that have occurred either at the beginning or currently, or has it all been upside, no downside, or what's been your experience?
I think just the hardest part is they call it like an oxalate dump. You can sort of go through little detox phases, getting these toxins out of you. That would be the only downside through it, but it's not, I would not say compared to what I've went through the last 14 years, it's anything. It's, or the cravings, as we had talked about, oh, I really would like a snowball or whatever. It's still not nearly comparative to what struggle and suffering I was going through. So there was those little, every once in a while you get those little dips where you would be a little tired or have a few little effects because you're detoxing some of these toxins out, but otherwise,
So,
no.
so if you could say like quality of life 5 years ago, 0 to 10 versus quality of life today, what would the comparison be?
Oh yeah, it's like a 0, 1 to a 10 now. It's just, I feel like I'm finally living, and I appreciate that you had your sight and that you had all this, because I know I wouldn't be. Like, I know that I wouldn't be thriving, and that's one reason I want others to know, because I don't want anybody to suffer. I don't want anybody to go through what I went through, and it's easy fix. This is actually cheaper. We spent $200,000 on doctors out of pocket
Mhm.
with his insurance, which was good insurance. This is not costing us that. Even if we went to all grass fed and we did the exact perfection, it wouldn't cost us that. It's actually been cheaper than the SAD diet this last year or two. And I'm like, I just don't want anybody to go through this when it's such an easy fix. You could just go through your cravings, those will go away, because the cravings do. You get to a point where you look at it and you're like, that's toxin, that's not good. That's no reason to eat that. Your body actually, I think, just starts craving the meat and the nutrition, and you go, wow, this is what I want today. I want a good steak. And I bought myself a tomahawk for Christmas.
Mm. Yeah, it's got those are nice treats to have from time to time. How much? So you said you're like 125 pounds. I don't know how tall you are, but how much does it take to get you going every day? What would you say? Just give us an approximation how much you're eating every day.
Yeah, that does depend. There's days I could just maybe have 10 ounces and some fats, because we
Mhm.
also have the fats with it. So
Sure, sure.
I don't really count the ounces on that. I just put some on the plate, and
So,
or butter, because I'm into the goat products. So I do the goat cheese, the goat butter, or the goat milk.
mhm.
And then if at the end of the day I'm still like, if I don't ever really get hungry anymore. You don't really have a sensational hunger very often, just every once in a while. So usually it's just if I get a little tired, if like at the end of the day I'm like, I'm feeling a little blah, then I'll add a little bit more fat or a little bit more meat, just get another steak. But otherwise, yeah, it's usually about a pound.
Had you not discovered this 3 years ago, I imagine right now, if you still went to the doctor, they probably want to put you on one of these injectable weight loss drugs for various reasons. Do you have any thoughts on those? I know you're not a physician, but you might have friends or things that are contemplating that. Any thoughts on those drugs versus just changing your diet up?
Yeah, why take anything when you could easily fix it another way? I don't know a whole lot about them, but yeah, I think a lot of them get rid of some of your fat, which would be detrimental. If they don't, then perhaps, but there's no real need. It's like, why take anything when you just can? And same with like the hypoglycemia went away, and a lot of diabetics, so it helps because you're stabilizing your blood sugar. It doesn't make a lot of sense when all you have to do is change how you're eating. And at first, I do think it is a lot of social pressure. I didn't realize the social pressure until I got into this. People, oof, it's as bad as politics. People are very rough on it, and people worry, and they're always like, what about your cholesterol? What about this? What about that? And it's okay, I was non-functioning. Do you realize I couldn't get out of bed? And they saw that, but yet they still would question.
Yeah, and you can't blame them. That's what they've been taught. You've been taught for, gosh, decades now that meat and fat, particularly saturated fats, is bad for you. It's going to kill you. It's going to shorten your life. It's going to give you heart disease or cancer, diabetes, on, and things that they have associated that with. And I would just state that the studies that point that way are not particularly strong studies. They're all just weak observational data. But when you just, like I said, you just eat meat, which is what you're doing, basically, it's like amazing things start to happen, which sort of would not be the expectation given the sort of the reputation that meat has in the sort of the mainstream medical thought or the media and so on and so forth. Any regret? I guess you regret you didn't start this earlier, I would assume, right? You would probably wish you would have known this 20 years ago. You could have avoided a lot of suffering, I would assume.
Oh, yeah. If I would have found this years and years ago or been open to it, maybe it hit me the right time where I was desperate and open to it. But yeah, if I would have figured this out, it just opened so much. You can live life. Like I said, my husband and family are happy now. They see that I can do stuff, I can function, I could be a normal household member. You just don't realize how crippling having a disease in the family is and how hard it is on everybody. It's high stress and it's everybody's worried about you. You're just going through it, but then you have all your family members always worried and always concerned.
Obviously, you're no longer on any medication, no longer on steroids, no longer on pain meds, no longer on antidepressants. It's normal. It's interesting. You said it's normalized your hypoglycemia, even though the fact you're really eating no carbohydrates, and yet your hypoglycemia has gotten better, which a lot of people would think would be counterintuitive. But that often we see that happens, particularly with like diabetics. They often notice more stable blood glucose to include, not going as low. Have you noticed any kind of, obviously you said your mental health is better, but any kind of like hair growth, nail growth, skin, digestion, any other improvements that are just, that's cool. It's not necessarily a major issue, but it's neat.
But yeah, my hair was always it's grown before, but usually just about to here because shoulder length because it breaks off a lot or did. Yeah, my nails don't just fly off anymore. They're thicker, and I think that's the collagen, the bone broth, the having the meat protein source. Yeah, the ligaments, like I said, my knees not popping out, my back's not popping or hurting when I'm laying or sitting. Because just even sitting up would be like you'd have that back pain all the time. And yeah, there isn't. I can't I'm trying to think of anything else.
Yeah. So generally improve quality of life. You said obviously your husband was affected by this. He went carnivore, made him feel better. Your kids maybe teetering on the edge of keto. People around you, I guess if you're DoorDash, you probably don't work with a lot of other people very much. You just kind of, I don't know, even if you see the customer, you just drop it outside the door, knock on the door and head out. Is how it works. But are there any other people you've been around, friends, family members that have had a curiosity around this?
Yeah, there has been some people that came and asked me about it and have been changing, which is nice. A few family members, which that's big because you worry about their health and you worry about them getting better and you worry about them staying better. You don't want them to go through stuff because they have different health issues than what I did, but still, it's to make them healthier, to get your body a little bit more leaner, to get your body at a premium.
Do you have much of a social media? Are you talking about this stuff on social media at all? I don't know. Some people have a YouTube channel or page somewhere. Is that something you Facebook page or something like that?
I did just start that. I'm not the boldest, and I didn't know about doing that, but I have just started the last couple months on a way of eating, and that's just for that because I'm like, if it changes one person, if one person changes their life and they don't go through this, then it's worth me saying it.
Yeah, fair enough. That's largely why I'm here because we've been able to change in some way your life and many others, and it's very rewarding to be able to do that. And hopefully we can little by little affect society so not so many of us are sick. Let's see. Anything else that you would like to mention that we didn't chat about? Is there anything else you think that's an important concept or topic?
I can't think of too much else. I know when I was looking through my medical records because of this, you sort of I got all my documents a little bit more and was deep diving. They were still way back in Missouri. They had thought maybe MS, and then I found out they were still checking for it every year and that's why they were doing the CAT scan. And then I did have I guess during the hysterectomy, they didn't tell us till after, but I did have a little cancer scare. They had a cancer little tumor in there. My body has been falling apart for a long time. And it's just nice to feel healthy, to have this energy to it's just so different. It's the person I've been struggling to be since I've been a kid on being normal and feeling normal. And it's just phenomenal.
That's wonderful. That's good to hear. Miranda, what is you said you had a page, a social media. So what is it? You said Way of Eating, or what's the name that someone could go to if they wanted to find more?
I do X and then TikTok and Facebook, but yeah, Way of Eating spelled out. Wait.
So that's the whole name is just Way of Eating.
Yeah, or
So
whoa. Yeah.
when you spell it Way of Eating, is that
Yeah.
on your social media? So if you look up Way of Eating, you'll find you behind that. All right. Well, that has been awesome to hear. Thank you for doing this. I hope you have a great rest of the year and a great 2025.
Oh, well, thank you.